Hey friend, welcome to Through the Shannell4Life Lens, where we explore real stories on life, love, and growth, one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Nita, also known as Chanel for Life, and around here we live by the 4 S's. We show up, show off, show out, and most importantly, show love for life. Each week, we will dive into topics that inspire, challenge, and connect us because life is a journey and we're in it together. So get comfortable, turn the volume up, and let's get into it. Growth is painful, change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck where you don't belong. Mandy Hale. Hey friend, today we're getting into some real talk about growth. And not just that Instagram quote type of growth, but the real, the messy, the sometimes uncomfortable process of becoming who you're meant to be. Because if we're being honest, growth is not easy at all. Growth isn't pretty. It's not just about leveling up, it's about letting go, pushing through, learning some things about yourselves, and doing the hard work that most people tend to avoid. Growth in itself is uncomfortable. We have great comfort being here, being complacent, not leveling up, but many of us are called to do more. However, we resist that growth. Why? Because, as I said, it's uncomfortable, it's messy, it gets real in these growth streets. Growth is great in theory, but in reality, look at the process that it takes to change. Look at the process that it takes to grow. When you think about those situations that you've been in where you had to change, where you had to grow, think back to how you felt during those times. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows and feel good. No, you went through some uncomfortable feelings, some anxiousness, all kinds of feelings that you could think of when you are required to grow, to go to your next level, or to be who you are meant to be. It requires us stepping outside of our comfort zone. It requires us to walk away from things that are familiar. And sometimes it means walking away from people, from habits, and from mindsets that no longer serve us. When it comes to growth, anything is possible. And a lot of us do not like the unknown. A lot of us love our comfort zone, love knowing how things are going to play out. But on the flip side, a lot of us say, oh, I want to grow. I want to be doing more. I want to grow into this. But are you really ready for what comes along with growth? Because growth is a cycle, it's not just a one time thing. And that is one of the biggest misconceptions that I feel that people have in thinking that, oh, I'm going to grow and that's it. No, I'm going to go over here and do the work to get to my next level. I'm going to heal so I can be a better person. I'm going to grow and that's it, period. No, it's not a period at the end of that because life is always going to throw something at you. I know we've all heard the saying, levels mean new devils. And that is so true. When you are going through that process to grow, to get to your next, to wherever it is that you desire to be, you want to go through that discomfort and uncomfortable feelings while you're growing. But then once you get in that situation, you're going to experience some more discomfort because growth is an ongoing process. It's layers to it. Every season of your life requires you to grow because it requires a new version of you. And that is hard for a lot of us because nobody likes to be uncomfortable. Nobody likes to be feeling in messy situations or things are just not going how they're supposed to be. But it's all part of the growth process. And a lot of times it comes down to you have to ask yourself, do I want to go through this growth process to get to where I want to be? Or do I want to stay stuck here? I can almost guarantee that your answer is that you want to grow. So if you want to grow, you're going to have to be willing to do the work. You're going to have to be willing to get a little messy, to feel a little discomfort as you go through the process. Now, the growth, the change, yes, it is all worth it in the end. And yes, you will encounter things, but you can't let that hold you back. That fear of going to get through, that fear of what's going to happen once you get there. You can't let that hold you back or you're going to stay stuck. And me personally, I have learned that I would rather go through the uncomfortable than stay stuck in any situation. I can remember many times where I thought, I've done the work, I got here, I got to my next level, I reached my dream, I reached my goal, I'm good. I did it. But then, as they say, life has a way of coming at you fast. Growth isn't a destination. That is one thing I learned. Growth is not a destination. It's not like, oh, I'm going to put in my GPS and I'm going to wind up at growth. I'm going to turn here, turn right there, go straight, make a couple U-turns, stop, and I'm at my destination. No. Growth is a process, an ever growing process. And sometimes it takes you back to lessons that you thought you mastered. And that's where them U-turns come in. Sometimes you find yourself making a lot of U-turns on this growth journey. But the thing is, in all those U-turns and all those wrong turns that you may make in this growth journey, you're learning lessons along the way. Here's the hard truth about growth. Growth requires you to let go. And that's hard. You've heard the saying, everybody can't go with you to the next level. And that is the truth. Not everyone, not everything can go to the next level. And that is one of the hardest parts of growth. Learning to let go of that comfort of the old versions of yourself, the people that you used to know, the circles that you used to run in, those that are no longer aligned with you, having to let go of them. I feel like that is one of the hardest things when it comes to growth. And speaking from personal experience, on this Shannell4Life journey, I had to grow a whole lot. And it's only been a little over a year. But what I learned on this Shannell4Life journey, it has grown me a lot. I thought I knew myself before I started this journey. I thought I had got to a certain point within myself. But this Shannell4Life journey, when I tell you, honey, it has made me an even stronger and better person today than I was a year and a half. I learned the real meaning of everybody can't go with you to the next level. You can't stay in the same environments and expect to evolve. Everybody out here that's for you ain't for you. Everybody that's smiling in your face, saying kind things, throwing support your way, having conversations with you is really not for you. Some people have ill intentions. Some people are snakes in the grass. You may have a pure heart, you may have pure intentions, but this journey taught me, as they say, they not like us, they not like me. But what I learned early on and what I'm able to, I won't even say what I learned early on, what I now know, the lessons that I needed to learn in that, because this next level that God has taken me to, I'm going to have my eyes wide open. This next level that I am on, the things that I am doing, the things that I am experiencing, I got to have my head on a swivel, eyes wide open. So it built up in me the ability to see people for who they are, the ability to guard myself a little bit more. And all of that, I say all that to say, that's growth because it grew some things in me. And I had to go through the messy. I had to go through the uncomfortable. I had to go through the lonely nights. Yes, I had the support of family and the support of great support from friends, but nobody knows what it's like when it's just you and your thoughts, you by yourself, you in the quiet. But it grew me. I grew. That was growth. It's all about the growth, the evolution through the process, the taking those lessons from those situations, those skills and all, putting them inside of you, building up skill level, your skill set, your coping mechanisms, so that when things happen, you're not falling apart completely or whatever it may be. So growth is hard. Growth requires you to let go. Growth requires you to shed some dead weight because, again, you can't stay in them same environments and expect to evolve. So, one thing you have to ask yourself today, what are you holding on to that may be keeping you from growing? Also, growth will challenge your identity. And that right there is a fact. Because the thing is, when you're growing, yes, it's scary, but the scariest part isn't really the growth or the change itself. It's about growth forcing you to redefine who you are. You start to question things, you start to outgrow your old mindsets, and that is unnerving. That is unsettling because, again, we are creatures of habit, as I say. We like habits and patterns and the known. The unknown, if we're being honest, freaks a lot of us out. But growth requires you to learn things about yourself that you never knew, challenges who you may have known yourself to be up until that point. However, the thing is challenging you. You're having to grow. You're having to change your identity. You're learning new things about yourself. But the thing is, if you don't allow yourself to go through the growth, if you don't allow yourself to evolve, then you'll never reach that version of yourself that you're meant to be. Now, if you find just being stuck and stagnant, same old day in, day out, then cool. But you like me? No, it's time out for that. So you have to be willing to go through the uncomfortable, to challenge your identity, to learn some new things about yourself, to put those old mindsets away. Because that is going to help you to really grow and to really become who you are meant to be. And the third thing is growth is lonely. The beginning of growth is very lonely. However, even though growth is lonely, it won't be like that forever. You won't always be lonely on your growth journey. Now, starting out, when things first start to change, when you first start to evolve, when you first start to grow, oh yeah, it's lonely out here in these streets. I just told you the part that I had to go through almost a year ago, where I recognize now that it was requiring me to grow and requiring me to evolve, requiring me to change up some mindsets, flip some switches in my brain, and become a better version of myself and a more cognizant version of myself. I can recognize that now as growth, but back then it was lonely. There will be seasons in growth where you are isolated and you feel isolated because not everyone understands. Not everyone is going to get it. Not everyone will understand this journey that you're on. So yes, sometimes it will be lonely in that regards. But then it also will be lonely in the regards of even those that are there to try and help you as you're growing, they still won't get it because they aren't you. Yes, you can take the support. The support is great. But growth can be a very lonely journey because you are the one that is having to go through the process. You're the one having to evolve. When they say a cocoon emerges into a butterfly, all of that, you have to evolve. When you think about giving birth to a baby and the pain that you go through where you grew that baby inside of you for all those months and then you have to push it out. That's a lonely thing because, yes, you have the supporters there. You have your support team in there helping you, telling you to push the doctors, your loved ones, whoever's in there with you. But it's you pushing. It's you feeling that pain. It's you going through that process, that tedious process to give birth to this new life. And that is the same thing about growth. When you're growing in life, you're giving birth to something new. And even with all the support around you, it's still very lonely because you're having to experience. But just because you're lonely, it doesn't mean you're alone. And that is what the support is for. That's where your support comes in. You may feel lonely, but you're not alone. But sometimes you have to walk through these seasons, even in the loneliness, even walking through a season of separation, but you find those people that are meant for you at your next chapter. And that is truth. I can testify to that right now. Through the process that I had to go through on this journey, even in life, just thinking about different journeys that I've been on in my life, aside from the Shannell4Life journey, you find those people who are meant to be there in your next chapter. And the more recent part with the Shannell4Life journey, I found my crew, I found my circle, I found my people through that season of growth, through that season of separation, through that season of feeling loneliness. I found those people who are meant to be right here in my life where they are today. So growth is hard. Yes, growth challenges your identity. And yes, growth is lonely. But I can tell you sitting here today that it is so worth it if you're willing to take that risk, to take those steps to grow, to evolve to who you want to be, whatever it is that you desire. It is so worth it. And I can remember a time, and when I think back on life, remembering those times where I had to make decisions that would change everything, it was uncomfortable. It was lonely. But looking back, it's probably the best things that I've ever done in my life to help my growth. Because had I not grown, I would not be sitting in front of this microphone before you today. So think about your own growth journey. What's one moment that forced you to grow even when you didn't want to? What did that teach you? I tell you, I learned that growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. And if you're in a season where you feel like it's hard, where you're feeling uncomfortable, trust me, it's leading you to somewhere better. So keep going. Now, what's one lesson you learned about growth? Head over to Shannell4Life on Instagram and share it with me. And of course, as always, if this episode spoke to you, be sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss when a new episode drops. And make sure you share this with someone else who may need to hear this message. And of course, on this growth journey, whatever it is that you may be going through, whatever you do in life, show up, show off, show out, and show love for life. I'll see you next time. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. I hope this conversation gave you something to think about, something to feel, and something to take with you on your journey. If you love this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if something resonated with you, share it with a friend or drop a review. It helps us to grow this community and keep the good vibes going. Join the conversation on Instagram at Shannell4Life and visit Shannell4Life.com for more. And remember, whatever you do in life, show up, show off, show out, and show love for life. I'll see you in the next episode.